Hi, and welcome to another session of our In Dialogue series. Today we have Karin Sandstrand, one of our newest Play Power educators. Karin, can you introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do here?
Sure. My name is Karin Sandstrand. I'm the Play Power educator here. We go out into public schools in New Orleans and with an embedded social emotional program where we will give some lessons, teach children about social emotional learning, about their brains and about their nervous system, and then we offer open-ended play and open-ended art activities for them to participate in.
Yeah, and where are you from?
So I am from Norway, originally born and raised. I've been in New Orleans for about 20 years. I'm an early childhood educator, and I'm also a certified parent coach. Yeah, a lot going on.
Yeah, awesome. Well, and we've been so grateful to have you here at LCM. And you just provide this wealth of knowledge that when we were talking about the topic today, which is setting boundaries while staying connected, you were the first person that we thought of to interview. So can you tell us a little bit about what are boundaries? Maybe like why are they important for us to be setting with our children?
Yeah, so boundaries are limits that we set for our children that are grounded in respect and in our family values. Mm-hmm. There are limits we set to help our life run smoothly and to help children understand where the rules are, so that they can feel safe, that they know that somebody's steering the ship for them. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it sounds like it's just something to kind of put guardrails almost on like our experience, you know? Are they different from rules or are they the same as rules? Like what's that kind of delineation?
So rules are more set in expectations around certain behavior or a certain context that you're in, right? Mm-hmm. And it can be like, they can change more, you know, depending on the context or where you are or the age of the child as they grow. Mm-hmm. So they are more, you know, that they can move, while boundaries are more set and something that is like grounded in your family values.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So would you say that you should have rules and boundaries, or should caregivers kind of lean towards setting boundaries and making sure that those are clear, or like making sure that everybody knows what the rules are?
Both. Yeah. Yeah. I think so. Both is important.
Yeah.
For you and your family. And like, I think it's important to think about the family values you have and really sit down and think it through.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times you will, you know, put boundaries out that are just something that was put on you when you were a child.
Right.
So make sure that you sit and think through your family values and be clear on the values, and also know that with children you are teaching them the boundaries, and it takes time to learn. So just because you said it doesn't mean that that's going to be followed right away.
Yeah, and it sounds like something that could be a really cool thing, like depending on the age of your child, that you could involve them in, like especially that like values exploration. Like, you know, when they're 2 years old, like you're kind of telling them like, this is what we value as a family. But then when they get a little bit older, you could maybe open up that conversation with them and say like, what do you value? Like, what do you think our boundaries should be? Like, what do you...
Help children have ownership and just understanding why we do it the way we do it in our family. Yeah.
So then when you do encounter a rule, it's like, hey, remember that value that we have? Remember that boundary that we have? This is why we have that rule.
Yes, absolutely. Nice. Then you're not going to find so much of that challenging why it's happening when they understand the why behind it. Yeah.
So when do kids start challenging boundaries though? Because sometimes like they just do, you know?
Well, they should do. Yeah. Around the age of 2 to 3 is when they kind of start develop that sense of self and understanding.
So like right away.
Understanding that they are themselves. And the interesting is to remember why they are challenged in the boundaries, that it's a sign of healthy emotional development and brain development. It's the way that they will understand where the rules are and how they are moving, and knowing that somebody is keeping them safe.
Yeah. And that must be super empowering as a caregiver to know, like, in the middle of your child saying no to you,
Yeah.
at least you're able to kind of comfort yourself by saying like, okay, this is healthy developmentally. Like, I'm gonna take a second and just like let that be what it is.
Yes.
And know that this isn't just them defying me. This is them
Right.
learning about what defiance is, even like in,
Right.
yeah.
It's literally like brain development in action.
Okay.
So the thing that often happens is that you set a boundary or a rule, a limit for your child, and then they oppose it. And then we react to that being opposed instead of understanding that that is normal. So what we do then is just to attune to their reaction to it.
Right.
And be like, that made you really upset. I can see that made you upset. Would you like a hug? But the limit still stays the same, if
Right.
that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I can imagine like in the moment you're in the grocery store, you're not getting honey or whatever Cheerios or like I saw at Target I saw Justin Jefferson cereal that was like so much sugar in it. I'm like, this man is a football player. Anyways, like my kids probably won't be eating that.
No, right.
But they might want to. And so then we're throwing a fit in the grocery store, and you're like, how do I get out of this situation?
Right. Yeah.
How would you kind of stay connected with your child who's throwing a fit in the grocery store?
Yeah. All right. So all through my teaching, and this is what I've always kind of like followed and done, is like a 3-step process to handling those kind of conflicts. And the first one is always to acknowledge the child's feelings and attune to it. So no matter what it is, you will say, I hear you. You really want that cereal right now. There's different ways to attune. Attuning means that you kind of like create this place for your child's feelings to land, and it will lower their stress levels because they feel understood.
Right.
It will lower your stress levels because you are working around that power struggle, because you focusing on your child's emotions right now and not the behavior, not what they really want. Right? So you attune, you go low, soft, and slow. I hear you. You really want that cereal right now. We're not buying cereal today, so that's step number 2. You're setting a limit. And this limit is not going to diminish the child's feelings. You're just stating a reality. We're not buying cereal today, right? Step number 3 is where you can get a little creative, and it's the problem-solving process. Depending on the child's age, when they're really young, I would give choices, and I would just give 2. We're not having cereal today, but you can choose, would you like apples or bananas, right? So you're giving them an option. Which one do you choose? You're giving the sense of control back to the child.
Right.
So attune, limit set, problem solve.
Yeah. Okay. I love that. And it's very like, I can imagine though as a parent, like in that moment you're trying to regulate yourself, where you're like, this is embarrassing, you know, whatever emotions come up, like when these situations happen. So you have to kind of fall back on that. Like, I think this 3-step process is really helpful for that moment, because it's like, I'm going to attune, I'm going to limit set, and then we're going to problem solve, instead of just like spiraling into your like, I'm so like, no, whatever emotion comes up.
I find it also very helpful to just have for yourself some mantras. Like for me, I always start with I hear you.
Yeah.
Because then you're just like, you give an instant connection to the child. I hear you. You really want to do this right now. And then when it comes to the limit, I often go to the place-based. So at the store, we're not buying cereal right now.
Right.
Or I hear you. You want to get off from the table. In the kitchen, we're going to sit on the chair till everybody finishes eating. Just as a way for you to like help you find those words in the moment. If that makes sense.
Yeah, so it's that sounds very grounding too.
Yeah.
Where it's like putting yourself as a parent back into the moment.
Yeah.
Instead of just like going off the you're going off the rails too.
I think there's a lot of freedom in learning more about neuroscience and understanding how our nervous system works, and to understand that if we want to like discipline our children, disciplining means to learn, the best discipline is a regulated nervous system, and that your child is always going to have to borrow from your nervous system to regulate. So if you're dysregulated, you're not going to be able to regulate your child.
Yeah.
Now, good news there, though, is that regulated doesn't really mean calm.
Right.
It means that you are aware of your dysregulation and you connected to yourself. Like you haven't completely, you're not gone off the rails. If you have, then you should take a break.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think in that moment, if you're sharing, like, I see that you're really frustrated right now. I'm really frustrated right now, too.
Yeah.
Like, let's take a deep breath together.
Yeah.
And sharing in that moment, it seems like it could be a really good way, like we're saying, to stay connected while you're working through this kind of, like, boundary issue that you're having.
I think, everybody talks about self-care, and I think parenting self-care, the best self-care you can do is to become aware of your triggers, so you know when it's going to happen. Remember that you are responsible for your triggers, not your child's responsibility to avoid your triggers, and to have your toolbox ready for how to regulate yourself.
Yeah.
That means that you know that, okay, when I feel the temperature rising, I know what I can do to calm myself.
Yeah.
And even then model this to your child. You can be like, oh, I noticed that I'm feeling a little frustrated right now. I'm going to take 3 deep breaths. Do you want to do it with me? And there's a lot of, breath work that you can do together with your child. Will you help me do, the starfish breath? And you can hold out your hand, and your child leads the finger through, and you breathe together. You can do blow out the birthday cake, and so you can regulate together.
Right.
Or you can take a moment for yourself, and then you can model for your child how you're going to regulate.
Yeah.
And all children are different. So the way that they like to regulate is a process that you got to figure out.
Yeah. And it probably changes over time.
Right.
Yeah.
Just like it does with us, with grown-ups. Yeah. Yeah.
And I like what you said about toolbox, because I think it's important maybe to think through, like, these scenarios. Like, sometimes you're going to be at home when this happens, and it's going to be a lot easier for you to say, like, Mom needs to take a break. I'm going to go in the other room. Like, I still love you,
Right.
But when you're at the grocery store, you can't go in the other room. So,
Right.
but, like, maybe we need to take a step outside. I'm going to leave the grocery cart at the front. I'm going to ask them to watch it. And then we're going to take a step outside and, like, take a deep breath. Or we're just going to take a deep breath together on the floor of the grocery store.
Great
Like,
modeling.
whatever you,
Right.
whatever you're comfortable with. But, like, having that kind of toolbox for the different, like, tools are used for different things. Like, we need coping strategies for these different things.
Yeah.
So it's really, like you said, thinking through the triggers, and, like, not just your child's triggers, but your own triggers. Because, like, your child might be freaking out, and you're like, this is part for the course. Like,
Right.
So.
And I think it's important to remember, like, it's all about connection. And when you have a rupture in the relationship, there's a disconnect. The rupture repair cycle is what causes a steady relationship. Like, love is in those messy parts, and teaching children that relationships don't break when we have a disconnection and we have the disagreement. It bends and then it comes back. So the repair, like becoming an expert on the repair part, is where you're going to build that strong relationship, and you're going to build trust with your child, and you're going to build children who knows that having a disconnect is not unsafe.
Yeah.
So when you want to discipline your child, you want your child to learn new things. If you unintentionally activate their fight flight and they feel threatened, which is like a no can feel threatening, right? Your child might listen to your words, but the learning is not there, because their thinking brain is not connected when they're activated like that. So finding ways that you, like, after a disconnect, that you come back on track, and then you feel safe, and then you can go through what happened.
Yeah. Yeah, like, I love that's such an important part too, where, like, the learning cannot happen in that moment where both of you are in that heightened state. So you do need to come back when we're all calm and say, like, hey, this really upset both of us.
Yeah.
What happened? Like, what do you think happened? What do you think we can do differently next time? and problem solving together, like
Yeah.
opening up that dialogue.
Talk about how you were feeling, introduce more feelings words, like build that emotional vocabulary so it's easier to talk about it, and connect it to your body. Talk about the bodily sensations, like I got really frustrated, my brain got scrambled, and
Yeah.
in that learning, you will help children recognize when these feelings happen, because when you are in a situation, you're going to have the sensations before you have the thought about what's happening.
Right.
So as you learn to recognize your body, your like internal state, you can you can regulate yourself faster.
Yeah.
Right.
What is some language that parents or caregivers can use to enforce these boundaries, to like be firm about these boundaries without being mean? You know?
Okay, yeah. So the first thing I want to talk about, mention then, is the pause. Like giving yourself the pause to take a breath so that you are able to respond and not react.
Right.
And there's like the sense of urgency a lot because we feel so busy. When we see those big feelings raising up in our child or in ourselves, to just take a minute to just pause. And then it's sometimes when you attune or you listen intently, it's important that you go down to their level. And it's something really powerful about saying, tell me more. Put everything away. Be like, hold on, let me put my phone away so I can hear all of your words. And then say, tell me more. I think I use a lot something I call mirror language. That's like my jam. So when children say something, you repeat the words back to them.
Yeah.
In an empathetic way, right? So it's be like, I don't want to leave the store. I hear you. You don't want to leave the store, right? So it's also because, you're tired and there's all kinds of things going on and you don't know how to find the right words. Just repeat back what they said.
Yeah.
Instant connection. I hear you. Yeah. And then positive phrasing, like, no is triggering for everybody.
Yeah.
So instead of saying no, you can't have that cereal. I hear you want that cereal. We're not having cereal right now. This is what you can have.
Yeah.
Focus on what they can do and not what they can't do.
Right.
Now, of course, there's those moments where you just like have to get things done.
Right.
Right? You go into work in the morning and they just have to go sit in the seat. Whereas when you can just when you give those choices with a follow through. I kind of call it the escape hatch. So, for instance, if you go and leave it in the morning and they don't want to go in their seat, and you can say, well, I can put you in your seat or you can do it yourself. Which one do you choose? Now, there's no option where they're not going in the seat, but they get to choose themselves, right? And then they're like, no, I don't want to. It's like, if you don't make a choice, I will make one for you.
Yeah, there you go.
But I know you really like to make your own choices. And then another thing that we tend to forget in those moments is to use playfulness, right? Like, how are you going to get to the car right now and in your seat? You wanna be creepy like a spider, or you wanna jump like a bunny, right?
Yeah.
And use playfulness in it. Play is the power of children and the language of children, right?
And it seems like it probably will disrupt like that kind of
Yes.
like whatever the thought process is that's going into this like disagreement. The playfulness can disrupt that.
So yeah, like literally what happens in the nervous system is that when they're activated and they're in that sense of fight flight, when you use playfulness, you create connection, which brings them into that state of ventral vagal where they feel safe.
Yeah.
And then children they want to be on your team, right?
Yeah.
They want to do the things together with you.
So what happens when they still don't listen?
Yeah, when they still don't listen is when you will have to take a moment together.
Yeah.
Right? When you both have to take a moment together. I think that to realize when a child has locked up and they're in like this, their nervous system is just not open for anything, what they need is a steady captain. Like the bigger the emotions, the more cool as a cucumber you have to be. And to understand that, like, for instance, a tantrum,
Yeah.
to understand that as an emotional flood that is gonna have to just like let it, like, do run its course to help the children go through the feelings and not stop the feelings.
Right.
So when you have that situation where your kid is just like completely dysregulated, you're gonna have to be that anchor, that harbor, right?
Yeah.
So that they can have all the feelings run through them.
And I think sometimes it's really easy to forget that kids are kids. Like they don't know how to deal with these things yet.
Yeah.
So it's maybe framing it as like this is them learning how to manage boundaries that they're going to encounter the rest of their lives. Like there are boundaries in every facet of our existence. You know.
And when it's hard for them to follow a boundary, acknowledge that.
Right.
That was really hard for you. You didn't want me to say no to that. I hear you. The boundary's still there, right?
Yeah.
And every time they fight a boundary, you go back to attuning to the feeling that they have.
Yeah.
I hear you. That felt disappointing. The boundary is still there, but it's firm and it's calm.
Yeah. Well, and I think this sounds like it requires a lot of trust with the parent-child relationship, because your kid really needs to believe that like you do hear them, you do care, you do see them. So how do you build that trust to kind of facilitate these boundaries?
Yeah. Well, I think Dr. Daniel Siegel, that I read a lot, he's really great. He talks about like the 4 S's of secure attachment, that a child needs to feel seen, secure, soothed, and the last one that I can't remember right now, but that you make an effort to understand your child's inner life. There's something about that is so powerful. And I think to also, when things is consistent and when they are allowed to like fight a boundary and not met with anger, that builds trust.
Yeah.
I'm allowed to be angry with this. It is still the safe place to be, right? Does that make sense? Yeah.
So it's that consistency.
The consistency is key.
Like
yeah. And including your child, right? Using respectful language, including them and in explaining why you are doing the things that you're doing in your family. Yeah.
And it sounds like maybe even in this attitude of like curiosity as a caregiver, like what is going on with my child? Like what are the things that we value as a family? What's happening? Like where are they developmentally? Where do we want them to go? And like what kind of an adult do we want them to be? Because I think that's really what we're like, training them to be grown up at some point, but not right now.
I'm so glad you said that, because that's the thing about curiosity. Like all behavior is communication. So it's like communicating an unmet need. It's communicating your child's internal life. So like being curious about what is it that my child is trying to communicate right now. Yeah.
When do parents get to show their emotions? Because this is like, we're talking a lot about kids showing their emotions and how to kind of help them feel those emotions, but when do parents get to experience that too?
Yeah. Well, I think all the time. I think it should be said too, like, parenting feel really hard sometimes because it's really hard, right? And our biology is not, we're not meant to do it by ourselves, right? Where we have a nuclear family and there's like 1 or 2 parents that are responsible for everything and all the emotional needs that needs to be met, the practical needs that's supposed to be done in a community.
Right.
So that's why that felt hard. That being said, I'm a big believer of modeling how to manage your emotions. But if you are in a position where you feel like I really need space right now, like you are dysregulated to the point where you're not connected to your feelings, that's when you're gonna take a break. Other than that, you can tell them your emotions, and then you have a plan for how you handle your emotions, and you can ask them, do you want to join me in that? Or you can tell them, I need some space to do it myself.
Yeah.
But I think it's so important for parents to show emotions and vulnerability and talk about those things, because
Yeah.
you know, that's what's hard, you know, and
Yeah.
that's what's hard in life for everybody.
Yeah. Well, you talked earlier about that repair cycle. Like, how beautiful is it when a parent does maybe show that emotion in a way that they're not happy with, and
Yeah.
then they come back and say,
Whew.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm so sorry that I said this in this way.
Yeah.
Like, can you forgive me? Like,
Well,
and then how can we,
Yeah.
like, how can, this is how I want to say it differently next time.
right.
Or, you know?
I think when we do repair, there's like certain things we should consider. First, we connect.
Right.
And then we can ask them, hey, I got really frustrated earlier. Can I talk to you about that?
Yeah.
And talk about what happened to you and explain it and your plan for next time.
Yeah.
And then you can offer a hug or high five. I try not to say, can you forgive me?
Right,
Because
right,
that means that the child has to give you something for
Fair
what
enough.
happened.
Fair enough.
So, you know, talk about like, this is what happened and this is my plan for next time. And I try really hard to do that.
Yeah.
I love having visuals in the house, in my classroom. It's a good way for parents and for children, right? To remember, you know, the things in their toolbox, right? So like visuals for different ways of breathing, or visuals for language you want to use in certain situations.
Yeah. I can even imagine, like, as a family, making your family values as like a poster or something that you have, or, so that it's like clearly visible. Like, this is, remember this? Like, we drew this last week.
And you know, like in a lot of classroom, they started now. They have like an emotional center, and they have like a toolbox, a literal little toolbox with like fidgets.
Right.
Fidgets are can look like toys, but the intention is that you use them as a tool for them to help regulate themselves. They're tools to help them like kind of like get out of their head and into their bodies so that they can regulate themselves. And having that at home is something that I often advise parents to do, and have a space. And like if you have, say you have several children and there's a lot of big feelings, have that contained in one part of the house can be very helpful.
Right.
But it should not be used as a timeout corner, but rather the opposite, as a time in corner. Be like, it looks like you need a moment. Would you like to do it by yourself? Would you want me to come with you? Here are the tools that you can use. And then, you know, like planning for things too. If you go into the grocery store and you know, oh, it's probably going to be a hard one, have two. No more than two, like in your purse of fidgets. Be like, I noticed that it seems like you're starting to feel a little, having some big feelings. Would you like to pick a fidget?
Yeah.
An emotional tool.
I love that. Yeah, like making those plans and thinking through
Planning
some of these
ahead.
scenarios.
You know your triggers, you know your child triggers, and you're prepared for it. Yeah.
Yeah, and you then have the language as well to say, to counter these boundary like violations, or you know, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And practicing and in that like 3-step process.
Yeah.
And then repairing after if it's needed.
I think the last thing too is to remember, when a child has huge big feelings, they're not going to be receptive for anything that you're trying to talk to them.
Yeah.
So you're just going to have to be, you know, that harbor that just keeps it calm until it blows over, and then the talking will come after.
Yeah. One thing you shared once, like, can you tell us the good enough parenting quote?
Yeah. I just really, I think it's important. There's so much parenting advice happening out there, and there's so much expectation put on parents. And I think it's important to remember that there's no such thing as perfect parenting, and that good enough parenting is where it's at.
Yeah.
And that there is actual research that shows that if you get it right about 50% of the time, you'll be okay.
Yeah.
50%, we could do that.
Definitely.
Yeah, if you sit here and like watching this and you're learning new stuff, guess what? You're doing it, right?
Yeah. I love it. I learned new stuff today.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that we forgot to talk about or need to cover?
Probably.
Well, in that case, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us at the Louisiana Children's Museum. Karin has an email here. It's ksandstrand@lcm.org. She also has a parenting group. Do you want to talk about that?
Sure. I have a parent coaching business called The Village. We meet once a month at the Garden District Bookshop, the third Wednesday of the month, and I also offer some different programs for parents to join, or they can just call me with issues that they have, and I can help them talk through things. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
And so thank you so much again for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you next time.